Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahuah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, brothers and sisters, to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream Torah portion reading. This is week 15, and it is the Torah portion Bo, which is Exodus 10:1 through 13:16, and we're going to continue to go into the plagues of Egypt, actually the rest of the plagues of Egypt, and the Passover, and yeah, so good stuff. I actually have some really interesting things to talk about when we get to the Passover. So glad you're here with me. And just, as always, sometimes I forget to kind of put this disclaimer out there. When it comes to Torah, a lot of us are so new, myself included, and I am a student of the Torah. I am somebody that wants to learn everything about the Torah. How to keep every part that we possibly can until His return, and so what I do when I go through these is that's really what I want to talk about. And so when it comes to Torah, I don't feel that I'm a teacher. I feel that I'm a student, and that I invite you to study alongside with me. If I had room in my house, I'd invite you all in my house, and we just do this in my living room. But this is the next best thing. So. I'm in your living room, and I guess in the Ruach, you're in my living room. And so we're just, unfortunately, it's a one-way conversation, but one day we'll be able to, go back and forth. We do at least go back and forth for those that are here locally with our local Shabbat fellowship. Anyways, I don't want to keep going on. So that's just my disclaimer is again, I'm not your teacher. The Ruach is your teacher. I do believe I am someone that's been called of Yahuah to study His scriptures and to share what I believe He has shown me. And I just want to share this with you. And again, what we do with these Torah portions is we read the Torah portions, and then we kind of go through some of the other parallel books, like the book of Jasher, which was mentioned in the scriptures a couple times. Also comparing sometimes with the Septuagint, which is the Greek version of the scriptures, and also now most recently this year, the Targums, which is the Aramaic version of the scriptures translation. So I found that when we do that, we get a better overall idea of what's going on and more in-depth understanding of what's really being said, which at the end of the day, I think strengthens our walk, strengthens our bond with the Most High, because with a lot of times with understanding comes obedience, at least better obedience. So that is, at the end of the day, my goal is to be more obedient to His word. So quick prayer, and let's move on. Heavenly Father, Yahuah Most High, we just come before you in your Son, Yahusha's name, and we thank you, as always, for Messiah Yahusha, that we have salvation through Him and His name and His blood. And we just also thank you for opening our eyes to the fact that your Torah is good, it's righteous, it's sweeter than honey, worth more than gold, more to be desired than anything on this world. And we just ask that you help us to keep it, because we're so new at this. Help strengthen us, O Yahuah, in our walk, that we do not fall to the left or to the right hand. Shabbat Shalom, and blessings to you, O Yahuah, in Yahusha's name. Amen. Okay, let's get to it. We're going to be Exodus 10, verse 1, starting with the Sefer version. Against much thanks to Dr. Pigeon for allowing us to put the Sefer up here on our website so that we can read it together. especially those of you that may not have a copy of the Sefer. So thank you to him. Exodus 10:1, and Yahuah said unto El Moshe, go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs and wonders before him. And this is something that we've been talking quite a bit about, is that the Most High is the one that continued to harden his heart. And everything is for his purpose, for his glory. And we know that he's a righteous judge. So, if he decides to pick a wicked man and use him essentially for his glory, what can the clay say to the potter? Why did you, what are you doing? Are we going to speak against Elohim? I don't think so. We see the same thing with Revelation 17:17. It says that Yahuah himself puts these plans in the minds of these kings of the earth to bring forth, about his end times and his will. So you can get mad all you want against people like the Rothschilds and all that. I'm not sticking up for that. I'm just saying, you can get angry at them all you want. Just like, people could have been angry at Pharaoh, which, was rightly so, because they were whatever. But listen, at the end of the day, they're going to get theirs from Yahuah. And at the end of the day, they're playing their part as an unworthy vessel, as a vessel of dishonor. And, again, they're going to get theirs. So I think we should really shift our focus from hating those people to... Honestly, I feel bad for them. I really do, because they think they've got it made. They think they know what they're doing. Like, oh, we're full of riches and we have need of nothing, and we rule the world, and we're kings and we reign. And little do they know that they are going to be stomped to the ground. This word says they're going to bow themselves down to the ground. They're going to lick the soles of the feet. They're going to eat the dust of the earth, and they're going to be servants. So. Exodus 10:2, and that you may tell in the ears of your son and of your son's son what things I have. So my point is that Yahuah hardened Moshe's heart, right? It says, I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these wonders. So his point by doing this was that, all these plagues and all these wonders could be done. And we see that his fame, Yahuah's fame, was through all the earth. When Joshua was in, the spies went into Rahab and Jericho, they heard about everything. And that's why their hearts were melted with fear. It's going to happen again. Exodus 10:2, and that you may tell in the ears of your son and of your son's son what things I have wrought in Mitzrayim, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am Yahuah. And Moshe and Aharon came in unto Pharaoh, and said unto him, Thus says Yahuah Elohiym of the Ivrim, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring the locust into your coast. And they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth, and they shall eat the remnant of that which is escaped, which remains unto you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which grows out of the field. So remember, the hail already destroyed most of the crops, so these locusts are going to come in, they're going to eat the rest of it. And they shall fill your houses and the houses of all your servants and the houses of all the Mitzrayim, which neither your fathers nor your fathers' fathers have seen since the day that they were upon the earth unto this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said unto them, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve Yahuah Elohiym. Know you not that Mitzrayim is destroyed? And Moshe and Aharon were brought again unto Pharaoh. So he's like, all right, bring him back in. And he said unto them, Go, serve Yahuah Elohiym, but who are they that shall go? And Moshe said, We will go with our young and with our old, with our sons and with our daughters, with our flocks and with our herds we will go, for we must hold a feast unto Yahuah. And he said unto them, Let Yahuah be so with you, as I will let you go, and let your little ones look to it, for evil is before you. This is actually a really weird statement. Stop saying that word. This is an odd statement. It actually really gets expounded in the Targums of what he's actually saying here, and it was really pleasing to kind of finally understand what he's really saying here. Not so. Go now, ye that are men, and serve Yahuah, for that ye desire. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. And Yahuah said unto Moshe, stretch out your hand over the land of Mitzrayim for the locusts, that they may come upon the land of the Mitzrayim to eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail has left. And Moshe stretched forth his rod over the land of the Mitzrayim, and Yahuah brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Mitzrayim, and rested in all the coasts of Mitzrayim. Very grievous were they. Before them there was no such locust as they, neither after them shall be such. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened, and they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, or in the herbs of the field, through all the land of Mitzrayim. Then Pharaoh called for Moshe and Aharon in haste, and he said, I have sinned against Yahuah Elohiym and against you. Now therefore forgive, I pray you, my sin only this once, and entreat Yahuah Elohiym that he may take away from me this death only. And we went out from Pharaoh and entreated Yahuah. And Yahuah turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts, and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Mitzrayim. But Yahuah hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Yisrael go. So now let's read Jasher 80, 33 through 35. And Yahuah sent and brought numerous locusts into Egypt, the chasel, the salom, the chargol, the chagol, locusts each of his kind, which devoured all that the hail had left remaining. Then the Egyptians rejoiced at the locusts, right? Listen, because they were hungry, although they consumed the produce of the field, and they caught them in abundance and salted them for food. Remember, locust is a clean food, and I guess in some way, it's tasty. I've never had a locust. John the Baptist was pleased to eat them, and so it seems here that the Egyptians were as well. So they caught them in abundance and salted them. They're like, ha, 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 Yahuah, we're going to eat these things. Thanks for sending them. And then, check it out. And then Yahuah turned a mighty wind of the sea, which took away all the locusts, even those that were salted, and thrust them into the Red Sea. Not one locust remained within the boundaries of Egypt. So Yahuah was like, oh yeah, they're out of here. See ya. Sorry, I can't speak for him. I shouldn't joke around. It's not funny. It's just like, he got them, because they're like, sweet food. And he's like, no. They're gone. Sorry, just trying to have a little fun with this study. All right, and let's keep reading, and then we're going to read a little bit about the darkness, and then okay. Anyways, yeah. So let's keep going. So Exodus 10:21, and Yahuah said unto Moshe, stretch out your hand toward the heavens, that there may be darkness over the land of Mitzrayim, even darkness which may be felt. Have you ever been in a place or a room that dark? There is something about it. And Moshe stretched forth his hand toward the heavens, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Mitzrayim 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Yisrael had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called unto Moshe and said, Go ye, serve Yahuah, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. And Moshe said, You must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto Yahuah Elohiנו. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not a hoof be left behind. For thereof must we take to serve Yahuah Elohiנו, and we know not with what we must serve Yahuah until we come thither. But Yahuah hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto them, Get you from me, take heed to yourself, see my face no more. For in that day you see my face, you shall die. And Moshe said, You have spoken well. I will see your face again no more. So let's read the Jasher portion, which is 36 through 40 of chapter 80. And Elohim sent darkness upon Egypt, that the whole land of Egypt and Pathros became dark for 3 days, so that a man could not see his hand when he lifted it to his mouth. At that time died many of the people of Yisrael who had rebelled against Yahuah. So this is something we don't get in the canon. So again, at that time died many of the people of Yisrael who had rebelled against Yahuah, who would not hearken to Moshe and Aharon, and believed not in them that Elohim had sent them, and who had said, we will not go forth from Egypt, lest we perish with hunger in a desolate wilderness, and who would not hearken to the voice of Moshe. And Yahuah plagued them in the 3 days of darkness, and the Israelites buried them in those days, without the Egyptians knowing of them or rejoicing of them. And the darkness was very great in Egypt for 3 days, and any person who was standing when the darkness came remained standing in his place, and he that was sitting remained sitting, and he that was lying continued lying in the same state, and he that was walking remained sitting upon the ground in the same spot. And this thing happened to all the Egyptians until the darkness had passed away. I mean, that is really, you're just like, oh yeah, it was dark for 3 days. I mean, think about it. Think about that, where you really can't see anything for 3 entire days. I mean, that would be bone chilling, in my opinion. I don't even want to imagine. Okay, so now let's switch gears to the Targums. We're going to read a little bit. Let's see. We're going to read the second paragraph here, starting at here. And he said, this is chapter 10. And he said to them, so may the word of Yahuah be a help to you. But how can I release both you and your children? The evil offense is in the look of your faces, right? When he says there's evil before you, right? The evil offense is in the look of your faces. You think to go onward in the way that you would walk till the time that you shall have come to the house of the place of your habitation. So he's basically saying, I know what you're going to up to. You're not going to just leave for a couple days and come back. You're going to go to your habitation in Canaan. It shall be not so as ye devise, but the men only shall go and worship before Yahuah, for that it was which ye demanded. And he drave them out from before the face of Pharaoh. Let's see. So we're going to read also from the 4th paragraph. And Pharaoh made haste and sent certain to call Moshe and Aharon. And he said, I have sinned before Yahuah your Elohim and against you, but now pardon my sin only this once, and pray before Yahuah that he would only remove this death. And he went out from Pharaoh and prayed before Yahuah, and Yahuah turned a wind from the west exceeding strength, and it carried away the locust and bare him to the sea of Suf. There was not one locust left in all the borders of Mizraim, and even such as has been salted in vessels for needed food, those two the western wind bear away. So here you have the Targums confirming what was written in the book of Yashar. So 2 witnesses, they're kind of confirming each other. So the Targums confirms Yashar, Yashar confirms the Targums. And they went, but Yahuah strengthened the design of Pharaoh's heart, and he would not release the children of Yisrael. Okay, and so now we're going to read also this last paragraph here in chapter 10. And Yahuah said to Moshe, lift up thy hand towards the height of the heavens, and there shall be darkness over all the land of Mizraim in the morning at the passing away of the first darkness of the night. And Moshe stretched out his hand toward the height of heavens, and there was darkness in all the land of Mizraim 3 days. No man saw his brother, and none arose from his place 3 days. But among the sons of Yisrael there was light, that the wicked among them who died might be buried. So here again, now you have the Targums confirming Yashar. And that the righteous might be occupied with the precepts of the Torah in their dwellings. So there was light in their dwellings so they can study the Torah. And at the end of the 3 days, Pharaoh called Moshe and said, go, worship before Yahuah. Only your sheep and your oxen shall abide with me. Your children also may go with you. But Moshe said, there must also give into our hands the holy oblations and burnt offerings. Okay, the rest of this is actually the same from what I remember. Yeah, the rest is fine. So we'll skip that. Again, well, I'm not going to reread the entire Targums. When I go through the study, I just pick out in the Targums what's kind of different, or what's interesting to compare or to talk about and whatnot. So I no need to be repetitive and read the things that are the same in both the Targums and in the regular canon that we're used to. Okay, and so now we're going to go back to the canon, and we're going to read chapter 11. And Yahuah said unto Moshe, yet I will bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Mitzrayim. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor. This word borrow is really take or demand. Of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, or ask for, not like take, like steal, but like, hey, give me some jewels. And people are like, okay. and every woman of her neighbor jewels of silver and jewels of gold, because it's not like borrow, like, hey, let me just borrow this for a couple days, I'll bring it back to you, and then never bring it back to them. That's not what happened, right? And so the English word borrow, that's what makes us think about, like, oh, like, can I borrow this necklace and I'll bring it back? That's not what they did. And this was also, it was part of prophecy. This is what he promised Abraham. Genesis 15:13-14. He said unto Abram, know of surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Now, it's not just in Egypt 400 years. This is also in the land of Canaan. If you even remember Isaac, when he was dwelling in Gerar, and he was afflicted, and shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. So it's being sojourning, and also being servants. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And this is part of it right here, that every man borrow of his neighbor, or ask, demand. And Yahuah gave the people favor in the sight of Mitzrayim. Moreover, the man Moshe was very great in the land of Mitzrayim, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. And Moshe said, thus says Yahuah, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Mitzrayim, and all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sits upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Yisrael shall not a dog move its tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that Yahuah puts a difference between Mitzrayim and Yisrael. And all these your servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, get you out, and all the people that follow you, and after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. And Yahuah said unto Moshe, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe and Aharon did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and Yahuah hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Yisrael go out of his land. Let's go back to the Targums now. There's nothing in Jasher that's different, really. So we're going to go into Targums, and we're just going to read this first paragraph here in chapter 11. And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe, yet one stroke will I bring upon Pharaoh and upon the Mitzrayim, which shall be greater than all, and afterward he will send you hence. When he releases, there shall be to himself an end. Driving, he will drive you forth from hence. Speak now in the hearing of the people, that every man shall demand from his Mitzrayim friend. So I just, I wanted to read that because it's a little more proper as to the interpretation instead of borrow. It's not a big deal. Again, I want to learn everything about the Torah, so I just want to look at even every word. And every woman of her Mitzrayim friend, vessels of silver and vessels of gold, and Yahuah gave the people favor before the Mitzrayim. And the man Moshe was very great in the land of Mitzrayim before the servants of Pharaoh and before his people. And that's it for chapter 11. Not a whole lot there. Excuse me. I'm going to show you guys that I'm drinking. Someone the other day, when I lean over to drink, I lean over so you don't have to hear me drinking and gulping. Someone thought I was dipping. So I'm going to show you that I'm drinking and not dipping. Some of y'all in the comments sometimes, I just... Okay, Exodus 12. Now we're getting into the Passover, which we're about a little over 2 months away, 2 months and about a week away. At least for the calendar that I'm on. I know we're on different calendars. I can't get away. I'm excited to be united one day. Exodus 12. And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe and Aharon in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So speaking of calendar, again, I'm not teaching you. I just like to share where I'm at with things. A lot of people have kind of jumped over to certain calendars, ones that don't use the moon for the months. I still use the moon for the month. Here's a passage from Sirach 43:68. This was canonized. It was in the 1611 KJV. Chapter 43, 6 through 8. He made the moon also to serve in its season, to mark the times, and to be an everlasting sign. And we know the season is Moedim, and we know even in Genesis 1:14, he says he gave the sun and the moon, they should be for signs and for Moedim. It didn't say just the sun, it said the sun and the moon. To mark the times and to be an everlasting sign. From the moon comes the sign for the feast days. How do you get the feast days? Unless the moon marks the months. A light that wanes when it has reached the full. The month is named for the moon, increasing marvelously in its phases, an instrument in the host of heaven a host on high, shining forth in the firmament of heaven. So that's just a little passage of why I still use the moon for the month. This is Enoch 50, 60, 74. And I saw another course, a law for her. And according to the law, she performs her monthly, this is talking about the moon, performs her monthly revolution. And all these Uriel, the holy angel who was the leader of them all, showed me their positions. I wrote down their positions as he showed me, and I wrote down their months. This is talking about the moon. As they were, and the appearance of their lights, till 15 days were accomplished, right, when the moon is full. In single seventh parts she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in single seventh parts she accomplishes all her darkness in the west. So it also shows you that the phase of the moon is getting brighter until it's full, and then weaker until it's empty. Not full moon starting the month, as some would say. And in certain months she alters, right, the moon. Certain months she alters her settings, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months the moon sets with the sun. In those 2 middle portals, the 3rd and the 4th, she goes forth for 7 days. Okay, and we don't need to really read the rest. But I would want to read this, though. And thus I saw their position, how the moons rose and the sun set in those days. And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an overplus of 30 days. And all the days which accrue to it for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amount to 364 days. And the overplus of the sun and of the stars amount to 6 days in 5 years, and 6 days every year come to 30 days. And now here's where the moon, this is where people get tripped up. And the moon falls behind the sun and the stars to the number of 30 days. And the sun and the stars bring all the years exactly, so that they do not advance or delay their position by a single day into eternity. There we go. Here we go. For the moon alone in the days amount 3 years, 1,062 days, and in 5 years she falls 50 days behind, to be added 1,062 days. And in 5 years there are 1,770 days, so that for the moon, the days in 8 years amount to 2,832 days. For in 8 years she falls by amount of 80 days. So the moon has a 354-day course, and so that is why we account for it, the 10 days. So it's not quite every 3 years. I'm working on a calendar to show you kind of, it's like, but it's roughly every 3 years, a 13th month is added, and it's the only way to account for it that I understand at this point. And so chapter 50, 60, 77. Actually, let's just we'll do a calendar study another time. We don't need to go through this in the Torah portion. I just wanted to share with you why this month shall be to the beginning of the months, and how we count months, because really it's part of Torah. But I don't want to get too deep into this. I am going to do a calendar study and why I am where I am, because people ask me all the time. I'm not contentious about the calendar. I'm really not. Some of my best friends are on the Zadok calendar that don't use the moon at all. They use it for to count Jubilee cycles or something, but they use the moon for everything. And I just wanted to explain my position, why I don't agree with that. But, if people can look at the word of Elohim, and some could say that we're to keep the Torah, and some say we're not, and some could say that, Messiah was true or he's not true, certainly we can still look at the same script. We'll be bound to look at the same scriptures and come up with a different calendar. So, again, I'm not contentious about it, but like I said, I feel led to share what I believe Yah has shown me, and if I'm wrong, pray for me that he may open my eyes and show me the truth. But until then, I'm going to do as he has called and showed me to do. Exodus 12:3, Speak ye unto the assembly of Yisrael, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall you make your count for the lamb. And, we'll keep going. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it unto the 14th day of the same month. And the whole multitude of the assembly of Yisrael shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and matzah, unleavened bread. So this is the beginning. So nighttime is the beginning of the 7 days of unleavened bread. And with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden it all with water, but roast with fire his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remains of it till the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus ye shall eat it with your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuah's Pesach. Let's see. Okay. So here we go. I want to read this real quick. So, and it says here in verse 6, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. The whole multitude of the assembly of Yisrael shall kill it in the evening. So let's talk about how this actually works. Because some people can get confused, essentially the meal of the Passover starts also the week of unleavened bread. And so this can get confusing on exactly days. And here, I'm going to probably offend some more people. I don't mean to. I just feel led to talk about what I believe he has shown me. So here is a passage. I'm going to read from Jubilees 49, verse 1. Remember the commandment which Yahuah commanded thee concerning the Passover, that thou shouldest celebrate it in its season on the 14th of the first month. Now listen, and this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about the 14th day of the month. The whole multitude of the assembly shall kill it, right, in the evening. Now listen here. Jubilees expounds. That thou shouldst celebrate in its season on the 14th of the first month, that thou shouldst kill it before it is evening, and that they should eat it by night on the evening of the 15th from the time of the setting sun. So for those of people that, for people that question, when does a day start? When is, the Sabbath? Is it evening to evening? Is it morning to morning? I think Jubilees just kind of bust that wide open for us and told us exactly when the day changes. So listen, we know that by no way, shape, or form would somebody kill the Passover on the 14th and then wait an entire day and an entire 24 hours later to eat it, right? So listen, this is what Jubilees is saying, is that you kill it on the sunset of the 14th, and when the day changes over at night on the 15th is when you eat the Passover. Bear with me. Let's read it one more time. So just keep this in mind. Here we go. Remember the commandment which Yahuah commanded thee concerning the Passover, that thou shouldst celebrate it in its season on the 14th of the first month, that thou shouldst kill it before it is evening, and that they should eat it by night on the evening of the 15th from the time of the setting sun. For on this night, the beginning of the festival and the beginning of the joy, you were eating in the Passover in Egypt, when all the powers of Mastema had been let loose to slay all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the captive maidservant in the mill and the cattle. And I am going to do a much more in-depth study of evening to evening or morning to morning. I love a lot of you. You all have sent me a lot of morning to morning stuff, trying to share this with me. But I just don't see it that way. And I think this passage in Jubilees really, again, just kind of busts it wide open. It tells you right here, right, that you're eating it on the evening of the 15th. So that shows you that when the sun sets, then the next day starts. And we're talking about there's really some concepts that we don't understand. There's a difference between evening, right? There's a difference between the word evening and the word night. So just for example, do it yourself. Google evening, and this is what you're going to get. You're going to get the setting sun, the setting sun, the setting sun, the setting sun, setting sun, the sunset, the setting sun, right? Almost every single picture, look, the sun is setting, evening, right before night starts, evening. And that's the same concept that gets people tripped up about the Day of Atonement, where it says you celebrate it on the evening of the 9th. So right before the sun sets, you celebrate from the evening of the 9th to the evening of the 10th. And in doing so, you celebrate it during the entire time of the 10th, because you celebrate it at nighttime, which starts the 10th all the way until the evening of the 10th, so the entire day of the 10th. So this is, I just literally searched right here, evening. That's it. That's all I searched. Now, same thing. Search night. This is what you get. Two different things. So that's exactly what's going on here. Evening into night is the changing of the day, according to the book of Jubilees, which you may not accept as canon, and that's fine. Again, I'm just sharing with you, and you can take these things and test them for yourselves. All right, we're going to keep reading. So we are here, verse 10. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remains of it till the morning ye shall burn with fire. So again, if, so we'll just keep going. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, and your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuah's Pesach. For I will pass through the land of Mitzrayim this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both man and beast, and against all the Elohai of Mitzrayim I will execute judgment. I am Yahuah. And the blood shall be for you a mark upon the houses wherein ye are, and when I see the blood I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you. And when I smite the land of Mitzrayim, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to Yahuah throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat matzah, and the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eats chametz, leavened bread, from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Yisrael. And in the first day there shall be a holy assembly, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy assembly to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, only that may be done of you. And this is, I believe, the same thing that applies to the Sabbath. No work, but except for what you need to do to eat. And ye shall guard the feast of matzah, for in the selfsame day I have brought your armies out of the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore shall ye guard this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, at evening shall ye eat matzah until the 21st day of the month at evening. So, okay, we won't do no calendar stuff, but this is telling you the same thing, because the feast is 7 days long. 7 days shall there be no chametz found in your houses, because the 14th day of the month at evening, right, when they sit down, they kill the Passover, and then they eat at the nighttime on the 15th. That's the first day until the 20th day. The 1 and 20th day, the 21st day of the month at evening. And if it was morning to morning, you would have an extra half day in there, so it would make it 7.5 day festival. 7 days there shall be no chametz found in your houses, for whosoever eats that which is with chametz, leaven, even that soul shall be cut off from the assembly of Yisrael, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing with chametz, and all your habitations shall ye eat matzah. Then Moshe called for all the elders of Yisrael, and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Pesach. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. For Yahuah will pass through to smite the Mitzrayim, and when he sees the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, Yahuah will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. And ye shall guard this thing for an ordinance to you and your sons forever. Forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye are come into the land which Yahuah will give you, according as he promised, that ye shall guard this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of Yahuah's Pesach, who passed over the houses of the children of Yisrael in Mitzrayim, when he smote the Mitzrayim, and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Yisrael went away, and did as Yahuah had commanded Moshe and Aharon, so did they. Keep going. And it came to pass that at midnight Yahuah smote all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Mitzrayim, and there was a great cry in Mitzrayim, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moshe and Aharon by night, and said, Rise up, and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Yisrael, and go, serve Yahuah as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Mitzrayim were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We be all dead men. The people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Yisrael did according to the word of Moshe. They borrowed or demanded or took of the Mitzrayim jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And Yahuah gave the people favor in the sight of Mitzrayim, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Mitzrayim. And the children of Yisrael journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot, about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And I think this is a clear picture for what's coming in the last days. You have the men numbered, right? So you have the men numbered for war, and then you had the mixed multitude, and we kind of see the same thing in Revelation 7. So you've got the sealing of the 144,000, right? So these are I believe, the fighting force of Yahuah. I'm sorry. So you have the 12,000 times the 12 tribes of 12,000 each. And it says, and after this, which if you look at the Greek word here, it means accompaniment. So with this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man can number, of all nations, kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So I believe it's a picture of the end times, when the army, 144,000, will be numbered, and the great multitude will come with them as well and go into safety. Verse 39, and they baked matzah cakes of dough, which they brought forth out of Mitzrayim, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Mitzrayim, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Yisrael, who dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim, and in the land of Canaan, they and their fathers, was 430 years. It came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day came to pass, that all the hosts of Yahuah went out from the land of Mitzrayim. It is a night to be much observed unto Yahuah for bringing them out from the land of Mitzrayim. This is that night of Yahuah to be observed of all the children of Yisrael in their generations. So forever. And just to give you an idea that the next one that's coming is going to be even bigger. Jeremiah 23:7-8. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahuah, that they shall no more say, Yahuah liveth, which brought up the children of Yisrael out of the land of Egypt, but Yahuah liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Yisrael out of the north country, and from all the countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So it's going to be even bigger this next time. And Yahuah said unto Moshe and Aharon, this is the ordinance of the Pesach, the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof, right? So no one that's not part of the congregation. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then he shall eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. You shall not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof. All the assembly of Yisrael shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn, actually, let's go stay right here. Verse 46. No bone broken thereof. Psalm 34:20-22. He keepeth all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and they that hate the righteous shall be desolate. Yahuah redeemed the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust in him shall be desolate. So we know that this is a prophecy of Messiah Yahusha. And here it came to pass, John 19:30-37, when Yahusha therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. The Yehudim, therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was an high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away. Then came the soldiers, then brake the legs of the first and of the other which was crucified with him. But when they came to Yahusha and saw that he was dead already, they brake not his legs. But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith there came out blood and water. And he that saw it bare record, and his record is true, and he knoweth that he saith is true, that ye might believe. These things were done, that the scripture should be fulfilled, a bone of him shall not be broken. And again another scripture saith, they look on him whom they have pierced. So praise Yah. Praise Yah for our reconciliation through what Messiah Yahusha has done. And when a stranger shall sojourn with you, and will keep the Pesach to Yahuah, let all his males be circumcised. Then let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the land. No uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. And, even to this day, there's still a lot of people in the Torah communities that will just brush this off as be like, well, it's really just about the circumcision of the heart. I'm here to say I believe it's both. I believe that we first have a circumcised heart through the reconciliation of Messiah Yahusha and a true repentance, baptism, all of it, the whole package. And I believe as we continue in faith, I do believe the males should be physically circumcised. Now, there's a big debate on how much of it is supposed to be snipped off. They say modern day circumcision is mutilation. I haven't really done a whole lot of research into that. I'm not wise on that. Do your own. If you need to be circumcised, or your children, look into it. It's just not something I'm too understanding with, because I was circumcised as a child, and so were my children. So it's not something I have really stressed about. But I know some of you that haven't, or are in a particular situation, you have done some research, so you're probably a lot wiser than me on that. There's a lot of research sources out there, but I heard some people shy away from circumcision because they believe it's mutilation. I don't know. I don't know. But the Torah says what it says. And when men say that the Torah doesn't mean what it says, I'm just not with that. I'm just not with it. Just like, we're going to be talking about next week, my issues with Paul. You can explain away with what he said about circumcision. I just don't agree with him. That or his letters were added to. I just don't agree with 1 Corinthians 7 that says circumcision is nothing. Now, certainly you can take the stance of saying if you get circumcised and you don't keep the commandments and you're an unfruitful person, I get it. But to, the way it was written or altered or added to, it just makes it seem like, to the average person that reads it, like, okay, I don't need to get circumcised, right? He that came uncircumcised remain uncircumcised. I don't agree with that at all. But we're going to talk more about that next week. So next Friday night, the main live stream, the 8 o'clock live stream, we're going to be talking about Paul, where I'm at with Paul. Exodus 12:49, one Torah shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourns among you. Thus did all the children of Yisrael, as Yahuah commanded Moshe and Aharon, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that Yahuah did bring the children of Yisrael out of the land of Mitzrayim by their armies. And again, I think that's what we're going to see soonish, hopefully. Okay, Yashar 80, we're going to read 41 through 81:5. The days of darkness passed away, and Yahuah sent Moshe and Aharon to the children of Yisrael, saying, celebrate your feast and make your Passover, for behold, I come in the midst of the night amongst all the Egyptians, and I will smite all their firstborn, from the firstborn of a man to the firstborn of a beast. And when I see your Passover, I will pass over you. And the children of Yisrael did according to all that Yahuah commanded Moshe and Aharon. Thus did they in that night. And it came to pass in the middle of the night that Yahuah went forth in the midst of Egypt, and smote all the firstborn of the Egyptians, from the firstborn of man to the firstborn of beast. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry throughout Egypt in that night, for there was not a house in which there was not a corpse. Also the likeness of the firstborn of Egypt, which were carved in the walls at their houses, were destroyed and fell to the ground. Even the bones of their firstborn who had died before this, and whom they had buried in their houses, were raked up by the dogs of Egypt on that night, and dragged before the Egyptians, and cast before them. And all the Egyptians saw this evil which had suddenly come upon them, and all the Egyptians cried out with a loud voice. And remember, listen, poor them. Yeah, I don't know. Remember what they did to the Israelites, throwing their babies in the water, dashing their heads, Pharaoh killing hundreds of them and putting their blood on his sores. And, when the men were deficient in bricks, they would put their children inside of the walls and have to build the wall over their children and hear them basically cry to death, and starve to death. Like, no, this is the vengeance of Yahuah, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. And all the families of Egypt went upon that night, each man for his son, and each man for his daughter, being the firstborn. And the tumult of Egypt was heard at a distance on that night. And Bathia, the daughter of Pharaoh, went forth with the king on that night to seek Moshe and Aharon in their houses. And they found them in their houses, eating and drinking and rejoicing with all Yisrael. And Bathia said to Moshe, Is this the reward for the good which I have done to thee, who have reared thee and stretched thee out, and thou hast brought this evil upon me in my father's house? And Moshe said to her, Surely 10 plagues did Yahuah bring upon Egypt. Did any evil accrue to thee from any of them? Did one of them affect thee? And she said, No. And Moshe said to her, Although thou art the firstborn to thy mother, thou shalt not die, and no evil shall reach thee in the midst of Egypt. And she said, What advantage is it to me when I see the king my brother and all his household and subjects in this evil, whose firstborn perish with all the firstborn of Egypt? And Moshe said to her, Surely thy brother and his household and subjects, the families of Egypt, would not hearken to the words of Yahuah. Therefore this evil did come upon them. And Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, approached Moshe and Aharon, and some of the children of Yisrael were with him in that place, and he prayed to them, saying, Rise up and take your brethren, all the children of Yisrael, who are in the land, with their sheep and oxen and all belonging to them. They shall leave nothing remaining. Only pray for me to Yahuah your Elohim. And Moshe said to Pharaoh, Behold, though thou art thy mother's firstborn, yet fear not, for thou wilt not die. For Yahuah has commanded that thou shalt live, in order to show thee his great might and outstretched arm. And Pharaoh ordered the children of Yisrael to be sent away, and all the Egyptians strengthened themselves to send them, for they said, We are all perishing. And all the Egyptians sent the Israelites forth with great riches, sheep and oxen and precious things, according to the oath Yahuah between him and our father Abraham, which we read earlier. And the children of Yisrael delayed going forth at night. And when the Egyptians came to them to bring them out, and they said to them, Are we thieves that we should go forth at night? And the children of Yisrael asked of the Egyptians vessels of silver and vessels of gold and garments, and the children of Yisrael stripped the Egyptians. And Moshe hastened and rose up and went to the river of Egypt, and brought up from thence the coffin of Joseph, and took it with him. The children of Yisrael also brought up each man his father's coffin with him, and each man's coffin of his tribe. Chapter 81. And the children of Yisrael journeyed from Ramesses to Sukkot, about 600,000 men on foot, beside the little ones and their wives. Also a mixed multitude went up with them, then flocks and herds, even much cattle. And the sojourning of the children of Yisrael who dwelt in the land of Egypt in hard labor was 210 years, which actually makes a lot of sense. I don't have it prepared for you, but you look at the generations, going from like the good example is like you had Levi, and then you had Kohath, and then you had Amram, and then you had Moshe. That's not 400 years. It's more like 210 years. At the end of the 210 years, Yahuah brought forth the children of Yisrael with a strong hand. And the children of Yisrael traveled from Egypt and from Goshen and from Ramesses, and encamped in Sukkot on the 15th day of the first month. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the Targums. There's quite a bit to read here in chapter 12, so let's take a look at this. So, chapter 12, we are going to read the full first paragraph. It's a long one. Okay. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon in the land of Mitzrayim, saying, This month is ordained to you to be the beginning of months, and from it you shall begin to number for the festivals and times and cycles. It shall be to you the first of the number of the months of the year. Speak to all the congregation of the children of Yisrael, saying, In the 10th of this month, whose time is appointed for this time, this occasion, and not for coming generations. So they're saying that on this one, that on the 10th day bringing out the lamb thing was just for the first occasion. They shall take to them, again, this is just what the Targum's saying. I'm not saying that this is Just something to test. They shall take to them a lamb for the house of a family, and if many in number, they shall take a lamb for a house. But if the men of the house are fewer than 10 in number, in proportion to a sufficient number to eat the lamb, he and his neighbor who is nearest to his house shall take according to the number of souls. Each man according to the sufficiency of his eating shall be accounted for the lamb. The lamb shall be perfect, a male, the son of a year he shall be to you. From the sheep or from the young goats ye may take. And it shall be bound and reserved for you until the 14th day of this month, that you may know the fear of the Mitzrayim when they see it. And ye shall kill him according to the right of all the congregation of the assembly of Yisrael between the sons. This is how I understand it. And ye shall take of the blood and set it upon the 2 posts and upon the upper board outside the houses in which you shall eat and sleep. And ye shall eat the flesh on that night, the 15th of Nisan. So there's your second witness telling you that they take the lamb and they kill it on the evening on the 14th before the sun sets, and on that night when they eat it, you're then in the 15th day of the month. So there's your second witness. They shall eat the flesh on that night, the 15th of Nisan, until the dividing of the night, roasted with fire, without leaven, with horehound and lettuce shall you eat it. Eat not of it while living, neither boiled in wine or oil or other fluids, neither boiled in water, but roasted with fire, with its head and with its feet and its inwards, nor shall any be left of it till the morning. But what may remain of it until the morning you shall cover over, and in the daylight of the 16th day burn it with fire. You may not burn the residue of a holy oblation on the feast day. And according to this manner you shall eat it this time, but not in other generations. Your loins shall be girded. This is a big addition here. Where does it end? Okay. Anyways, I think that's all I wanted to read on that one anyways. So we're going to read that. So that was the first. So we're going to read the 4th paragraph. 1, it says 2, 3, 4. And it was in the dividing of the night of the 15th that the word of Yahuah slew all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim. So here again is your witness showing you that the Passover was killed near sunset on the 14th, and on the 15th is the night they ate the Passover, and the same 15th at night is the 15th right here is when the word of Yahuah slew all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh, who would have sat upon the throne of his kingdom, unto the firstborn sons of the kings who were captives in the dungeons as hostages under Pharaoh's hand, and who, for having rejoiced at the servitude of Yisrael, were punished, as the Mitzri and all the firstborn of the cattle did the work of the Mitzri, died also. And the 5th paragraph, and Pharaoh rose up at that night, and all the rest of his servants, and all the rest of the Mitzri, and there was a great cry, because there was no house of the Mitzri where the firstborn was not dead. And the border of the land of Mitzrayim extended 400 farsi, but the land of Goshen, where Moshe and the sons of Israel were, was in the midst of the land of Mitzrayim, and the royal palace of Pharaoh was at the entrance of the land of Mitzrayim. But when he cried to Moshe and to Aharon in the night of the Passover, his voice was heard unto the land of Goshen, Pharaoh crying with a voice of woe, and saying thus, Arise, go forth from among my people, both you and the sons of Yisrael, go, and worship before Yahuah as you have said. Your sheep also take, and whatever of mine you have spoken about, and go, and nothing ask I of you, except that you pray for me, that I may not die. When Moshe and Aharon and the sons of Yisrael heard the voice of Pharaoh's weeping, they were not mindful, until he came himself and all his servants and all the Mizrahi, and urged all the people of the house of Yisrael, that they might hasten to send them forth from the land. For they said, if they prolong here 1 more hour, behold, we are all dead. So that's the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And the days of the dwelling of the sons of Yisrael in Mitzrayim were 30 weeks of years, 30 times 7 years, which is the sum of 210 years. So again, it's confirming Yashar. But the number of the 430 years has passed away since Yahuah spake to Abraham in the hour that he spake with him on the 15th of Nisan between the divided parts, until the day that he went out of Mitzrayim. And it was at the end of 30 years from the making of this covenant that Yitzchak was born, and thence until they went out of Mitzrayim 400 years. On the selfsame day it was all the hosts of Yahuah went forth made free from the land of Mitzrayim. This is interesting. 4 nights are there written in the book of the memorials before Yahuah of the world. night, the first, when he was revealed in the creating of the world, the second, when he was revealed to Abraham, the third, when he was revealed in Mizraim, his hand killing all the firstborn of Mizraim, and his right hand saving the firstborn of Yashrael, the fourth, when he will yet be revealed to liberate the people of the house of Yashrael from among the nations. And all these are called nights to be observed, for so explained Moshe, and said thereof, it is to be observed on account of the liberation which is from Yahuah to lead forth the people of the sons of Yashrael from the land of Mizraim. This is that night of preservation from the destroying of the angel for all the sons of Yashrael who were in Mizraim, and redemption of their generations from their captivity. And, okay, so now we're going to finish up chapter 13. We're going to read till verse 16, and we'll finish up. And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever opens the womb among the children of Yashrael, both of man and of beast, it is mine. And Moshe said unto the people, Remember this day in which ye came out from Mitzrayim, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand Yahuah brought you out from this place. There shall no chametz, leavened bread, be eaten. This day ye came out in the month Aviv. And it shall be, when Yahuah shall bring you into the land of Canaanim, of the Canaanim, and of the Chittim, and the Amorim, and the Chivim, and the Yebusim, which he swore unto your fathers to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that ye shall keep this service in this month. 7 days you shall eat matzah, and the 7th day it shall be a feast to Yahuah. Matzah shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no chametz be seen with you, neither shall there be leaven seen with you in all your quarters. And ye shall show your son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which Yahuah did unto me when I came forth out of Mitzrayim. And it shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes. And this is just like we see in Deuteronomy, where the commandments, the keeping of the commandments, are as a sign upon your forehead and upon your hand, the very opposite, in a good way, of the mark of the beast. We know the mark of the beast is there's a mark upon the hand or the forehead, and here this is saying the Passover is also a sign upon your hand and your forehead. Now look, when you celebrate the Passover, there is there's like a reward. Listen, so the Passover, it shall be for a sign upon the Passover and the week of unleavened bread. It shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that that Yahuah's Torah may be in your mouth. So the reward is that he'll put the Torah in your mouth. For the strong, how many of us, after our first time we celebrated our first Passover, the Torah just started coming to us. For with a strong hand has Yahuah brought you out of Mitzrayim. You shall therefore guard this ordinance in his appointed time from year to year. And it shall be, when Yahuah shall bring you into the land of the Canaanim, as he swore unto you and to your fathers, and shall give it to you, that you shall set apart unto Yahuah all that open the womb, and every firstling that comes of a beast which you have, the males shall be Yahuah's. And every firstling of an ass you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you will not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. And all the firstborn of men among your children shall ye redeem. And it shall be, when your son asks of you in time, saying, What is this? That you shall say unto him, By strength of hand Yahuah brought us out from Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that Yahuah slew all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both of the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to Yahuah all that opens the womb, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a mark upon your hand, and for frontlets between your eyes. There it is again. For by strength of hand Yahuah brought us forth out of Mitzrayim. And so praise be to Yahuah. So again, just about the mark, let's just read this real quickly. Revelation 13:16 through 17. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell. It's interesting that Proverbs 23:23 says, Buy the truth and sell it not, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now Deuteronomy 6. Let's see. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And symbolically, your hand is your works, what you do, and your forehead, your mind, could be what's in your heart, what's in your soul, what your thoughts are, And quite frankly, our thoughts and our actions need to be stayed on the Most High and His ways, the way that He has made for us to walk for all of eternity. So, praise be to Yah. It concludes this Torah portion, week 15. I pray that it was a blessing for you, but as always, I pray most importantly that this was a blessing of the Most High, that people are spending their time and wanting to learn more about the Word of Yahuah. So may He be blessed, and I pray that He and many up there in heaven rejoice that people want to do this. So let's quick prayer. Let's finish this out. Let's do a let's do the Aaronic blessing, and we'll end with I think Exodus 15, which is going to be next week. The Exodus 15 song. So, Heavenly Father, O Yahuah, we come before you and we bless you again in Yahusha's name. We thank you for allowing us to study your Torah week by week, and we pray that you keep this this method of gathering up available to us until that very day you come and gather us. And we just thank you continually, and we say Shabbat Shalom to you, and we ask you to bless our Shabbat, that we may have peace and joy, and that we may rest in you and connect with you, O Yahuah. We know that this day is a very special day, and we just bless you and thank you for showing it to us. We thank you for salvation. We thank you for your word. We thank you for creating all this world for us to dwell in, and we're just so excited when Yahusha comes and rules and reigns in righteousness. And we look forward to being with you all of our days. In Yahusha's name, Amen, Amen, Hallelujah, and Shabbat Shalom. So, Yevarecha Yahuah Veyish Merecha Ya'er Yahuah Panav Elecha Vechuneka Yisa Yahuah Panav Elecha Veyasem Lecha Shalom. Yahuah bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, give you shalom. So praise be to Yahuah, and Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. Hope you enjoy your Shabbat.